right, well, welcome. Sorry about those small technical difficulties. Hopefully that's all we have today. So welcome to Getting Ahead of RFPs. This is our second installment of this. Jamie actually filled in for me last time, which was great. And this one is Engaging Incumbents Customers. And we'll talk exactly about how we're going to do that. And I am Dave Lowe. I'm the CEO of ISI Federal, based here just outside of Washington, D.C. And with me, I have the illustrious, the industrious, the incredible Jamie Zell out of Ohio. How you doing, Jamie?
Good morning, everybody. Doing just fine, Dave. Hope everybody's having a nice morning. You got some good stuff coming your way today.
Yeah, man, it is crazy nice here. I don't know whether it's nice out there in Dayton, but it is absolutely beautiful here. Real quick, a couple of our sponsors that I want you to pay attention to. QuickFuse, QUIKFUSE. If you have a GSA schedule, you can use this. If you don't, you can't. You have to get a GSA schedule to be able to do that, and you can check that out at quickfuse.com. The other thing I want to point you to, if you're doing any kind of credit card sales to the government, check out Revolution Payment Systems. They understand the government. They provide level 3 compliance, and they can help drive those rates down to 1.5%. And I don't know about you, but my rates are about 3. So when I'm doing business-to-business stuff, so they can lower the fees across the board, but especially help you in the federal space because they understand it and help you with that level 3 compliance. So there you go with that. A quick disclaimer: this event is not affiliated or endorsed by GSA or any other agency and is provided to the audience for informational purposes only. All participation in this briefing is voluntary, and any engagement by government personnel, because some of those folks come by all the time, and it's not an indication to purchase or endorsement or commitment to buy or anything like that. So we can actually talk and have good dialogue and not have to worry about that anymore. So real quick about this, Getting Ahead of RFPs. We just started this. We skipped one. So we're going to do 12 topics. We're talking about the market essentials components that we provide, and how to utilize those tips and tactics, and creating a proactive pursuit for your federal business development. Because if you don't do that and you just expect money to fall from the sky, you're going to be terribly disappointed. And that's the situation with that. We want to get you to a place where you can win, and getting ahead of those RFPs is what we're going to be talking about. Some housekeeping things. If you would like to expand, if you like the way I'm dressed and you like the way that Jamie looks, I'm not sure why you would, but anyway, if you do, then you can expand us and make us larger by grabbing that little thing on the side or on the top, and you can make us bigger. And the other part that we would like to point you to is the worksheet that I dropped in last minute. We're going to be going right through that worksheet momentarily, so please download that and grab that, print it out. And then also you can chat with us and you can ask us questions. You just have to put it in, open that panel on the side, and you can put in your questions. And also, if you called in by phone, you have to put in your number so that we can unmute you, and then we can talk with you. Otherwise, we can talk with you anyway. And guess what? There's over 780 people that are registered for this. So you guys happen to get in under the wire. So there you go. So why are we here today? We're here today because a lot of folks need help with business development. ISI Federal does these things. We provide intelligence in the market, unmatched intelligence, clarity into the marketplace. We provide marketing strategies. We do blitzes and briefings to drive people to you, inviting people in, and also do business representation and bid management. And Jamie is in charge of our GSA schedule development. Tell us about the value of GSA schedules and the importance of maintaining those puppies.
Well, the value of GSA schedules is specifically that if you don't have a GSA schedule, you're going to be automatically missing part of the government business. A portion of the government spending, and this goes all the way back to the 1940s, when they created GSA, happens directly through GSA. And when those purchases happen as GSA purchases, if you don't have your GSA schedule, you cannot win that business. So don't exclude yourself from that business if you don't have your GSA schedule. It's a good thing to have. And then for those of you that have your GSA schedule, keeping it current and correct is of pinnacle importance, both for profitability as well as good representation. I know we looked at a client's one the other day. I'll keep this real short, Dave, but a client schedule, their pricing went all the the way back to 2012 as what they were showing on GSA
Wow.
Advantage. And what would that mean to you if you were a federal buyer looking at their offering on GSA and their pricing was from 2012? So it's important to keep it current and correct. And that's something that we can help you with as well. If your schedule has not been looked into in a while, you ought to check it out, make sure it does look good and you're taking advantage of economic price adjustments. We can help you with all that. Certainly feel free to get with me. We'll make sure and get your schedule up to running and looking the way it should.
Super. And there's a 100% track record there, by the way. 180%, apparently. I did a search and replace.
That's true, but you're
Ignore
right.
that. Ignore that part. All right. So the other thing we can do is we can help you get BPAs, IDIQs, other contract vehicles, because as you know, GSA is one portion. The rest of the government needs other vehicles in order to be able to purchase from you, so we can help you get those as well. The piece that matters the most that we're going to be diving into a little bit as far as utilizing this is finding the people who buy what you sell, specifically the ones that are buying from your competition, because those are the guys that we can tell us whether in the big agencies like the Army or small agencies like the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. They're all over the place. These buyers are all over the place spending $500 billion a year, and we have access to them. And the way that we distill those is a prioritization process so that you're not spinning your wheels just going after one of 85,000. These are the people that are most important to you, and we can help you do that. We do this with introductions, email campaigns, follow-ups, and online briefings. This is the grunt work that's necessary in order to be able to actually win in the federal government. You need to get in and start developing those relationships, and that's what we're going to be talking about, and especially finding those people and getting them to like you. That's our job. That's your job, is to have folks get them to like you, and we do that across multiple agencies. You can give us a call at 889-GET-ISI or check out us on isifederal.com. So now that we're done with all that, we can get into the nuts and bolts. These are the numbers that matter the most. It's 107 and 472. And Jamie, what are these numbers?
Those would be the numbers counting down to fiscal year end, which is a big pinnacle point every single year. September 30th, 11:59 Hawaii time ends the federal government's fiscal year, and these are very important numbers to look at because as we're cooking into August and September, they're going to be buying like crazy, and you got to set the stage so you can win that business.
You got that right, and this is why it's so important. Take a look at these spikes. You can see that they're starting right now. This is when things start to happen. The dollars are really starting to flow. A lot of the rest of the money that's there is going towards new projects and recompeted projects because this is when they happen. All those spikes are in September. A lot of times, it's well over 200% is what's happening on average. There's $178 billion, give or take, that's available and coming out in the next 107 days. And guess what? If you're not in front of those key decision makers right now, you are actually 9 months or further behind your competition because they've been working this territory and cultivating that for that long. So you need to jump on that and get in there. So why are we here today? If you want to let us know, you can. I'm going to roll right into a couple of different things as opposed to looking at the list of all the people that are here. But 93%, excuse me, need help with business development, and that's the reason why we are here, is to help you do that. And we give you great information here. They got the little bit of the advertisement up front. You got that, and we'll show you how great we are in just a minute. But I want you to know we're about to dive into some things that have been impactful in my life and helpful across the board that I instruct our people, in fact our customers, to do. So this is going to be good stuff. The SBA pattern that we're talking about here, the pattern that's out there for us that the government sets up, and they say get a GSA schedule, which we agree with, right, Jamie? We agree. Get a GSA schedule. That's right. And then watch FBO. Now this is a classic, right? Everything, put everything on FBO. Everything goes FBO. Does everything go on FBO, Jamie?
No, not even close.
No, not even close. In fact, not even close to 10%. What?
Right.
Not even close to 10%. It's less than 5% that actually gets on FBO. How can that possibly be? I put everything on FBO. That's right. It doesn't all go on FBO. The next thing is monitoring GSA e-buy. We agree with that as well. You can't monitor GSA e-buy if you don't have a GSA schedule, right? The next thing is they say meet with the Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization, or OSDBUS, or your small business liaison, and go to the meet and greets and have these matchmaking sessions A lot like speed dating, right? And then they tell you, register for the prime vendor databases so you can be a sub. And I've been asking this for 8.5 years. Here's my question. Has anybody registered for a prime vendor database and gotten a call of interest, not a contract, but just a follow-up call of interest to be able to start to do some business together? If you are the one, you'll be the first. You'll be the first of thousands, tens of thousands of people that have registered for these prime vendor databases, and also capability statement repository. Let's talk about that capability statement repository. Jamie, what is that thing?
That would be the thing that flies across the room, lands in the wastebasket, and they yell 2 points as it hits the bottom of the can.
That's exactly right, and it's especially apropos right now since we're in the NBA Finals. So and hey, you guys came back so far. That was a really good game last night, by the way. If you didn't watch it, it's a great game. Anyway, so this is the thing. We want to avoid this whole entire process. We need to bypass this process, and anybody that's following that process, we want to encourage all of your competitors to follow that process, because they're going to be spinning their wheels and they're going to be doing exactly the thing that will not get you to a place where you're meeting with key decision makers with budget and have the capability to buy from you. None of those people do. None of those people do. So what we want to do is we also want to let you know exactly what you're up against. First of all, federal buyers already have resources. They're buying from your competition. They're happy with them, actually, and guess what? They have existing contracts, whether they're GSA or other BPAs, IDIQs. They don't particularly want to change. In fact, they really hate to change, and they already have relationships with people they like. So if we're going to combat this, let's be real about what we're up against. If we're real about it, then we can do something about it. Make sense? So this is how it looks if you're in facilities maintenance. You probably know MCOR. You probably know some of these other people, but these are the people that look at the dollars that we're talking about here. Look at the dollars that we're talking about. We want to disrupt this pattern of incumbents winning this business all the time. We don't need $10 billion to disrupt that pattern. We just need to start with a couple thousand, a couple 100,000, then build our book of business into something that works well. Again, if you have any questions, you can let us know. Please ask those questions all the way through this. We can ask it. Now, open up that worksheet, because we're going to dive into this. We did, a couple months ago, we did Disrupting the Patterns, the Problems with FBO, and getting ahead of those and solutions that will help. That's available on YouTube, by the way. A quick recap why FBO doesn't work. It's 100% reactive. It's out there. Once it hits the street, it's 100% reactive. Everybody can see it. 80% are almost already locked in for your competition. 10% are not going to be awarded at all, and 10% that are winnable have more than 5 competitors. We don't want to play this game. That leaves, out of all of the opportunities that hit FBO across all industries, 7,500 winnable opportunities, of which it's very difficult to actually win and make money, because you have too many competitors, and maybe you missed something, or maybe you just went really, really thin and just not going to make any money. So this is why FBO doesn't work and why we're going to bypass that process. In your worksheet, you will see a winnable opportunity matrix. This is what we're after to do. We want to drive everybody up into the green. And the way we get into the green is, if you take a look, you want to get ahead of these and make sure that we can know about these opportunities before they hit the street, and you can see who has an advantage versus you. If you've actually helped inject your offering into the scope of work. Did you help write the scope of work? Did you know you could do that? You can absolutely do that. In fact, that's what's happening right now. Your competitors, your incumbents are in, and they are affecting the scope of work. They already have the relationships, and you want to noodle your way in there and start facilitating some of that being written into the spec. We're going to be talking about that next month, actually a lot more. So in order to do this, in order to change from going to FBO or following the SBA strategy, and I'm not saying these folks aren't good people. I'm saying that the process that's established is not a decision-making buying process. So in order to do this, we need to change our mindset from opportunities to people. We're going to change from opportunities to people. We're going to start thinking about, because opportunities don't just bing come up on FBO or bing come up on GSA eBuy. Somebody has a need and somebody puts that out there. So if opportunities come from people, then where do winnable opportunities come from? We'll talk about that in just a second. They come from people they like. People buy from people they like. It doesn't really matter whether it's government or in the private sector or just one-on-one or at the grocery store. You go to people, you go to places that you like, and you have patterns, and everybody else has buying patterns, and everybody has preferences. We profile every single day. And as a result of that, it develops patterns, and we can see some of those patterns as they unfold, sometimes in the contracting mechanisms they use, sometimes in the contracting processes they use. Maybe it never hits the street because they always favor 8As or service disabled. Maybe it's mandated by them to have a particular pattern, because that happens a lot of times. VA, right? Service disabled takes preferences. So winnable opportunities, if opportunities come from people, winnable opportunities come from people who like us. It's simply that. That is exactly what happens. So, real quick, I'm gonna take a poll because we're gonna dive into some specifics. When I call, what do you expect? What do you expect from them when you call? Tell me to check FBO, eBuy, FedBid, FedConnect. Tell me that they're too busy right now. Tell me that they don't buy what I sell. Or they actually take a phone meeting or a face-to-face meeting. So what is it? Tell me what you think they are. All right. 10 more seconds, guys. Keep it going. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And boom. All right, let's share this with everybody. All right, so most folks, there's 33% say that, wow, that's some crazy numbers. 33% driving to FBO. They're too busy. So 66% too busy. 17% expect a phone meeting, and 17% expect a face-to-face meeting. So that's great, great news. Great news, because what we're going to be talking about here is exactly how you can get past all of that stuff and get there. So again, first we adjust our mindset. Opportunity versus people. Opportunities come from people, hang on a second, who like us. So when we're engaging the prospect, let me see what's going on here, man. I can't see my screen properly because I went to that thing. There we go. I should be able to do it now. All right, cool. All right. So with that, first touch possible outcomes. You can get the meeting. You can get warm follow-up call. They're not the right person. You can get a referral. Or they're just going to say no, right? So they can say, no, I don't have time for you. Go die under a bridge. I actually had somebody say that to me, Jamie, one day. Go die under a bridge. That was fantastic. That's one of my favorites that sticks in my mind. Go die under a bridge. So that was somebody that had a bad day, I think. So anyway, if you're engaging a prospect, here we go. First touch. We're going to be talking about that first call. This is somebody that we don't know yet, right? Somebody we don't know yet. Maybe they came to a briefing, or maybe we got an introduction to them or something like that. We can do the first touch thing. But first things first. The number one thing we want to do is we want to know what we want from them. That way we have our mindset. It's the 7 habits of highly effective people. Begin with the end in mind is one of the habits. Begin with the end in mind. We want to know what we want from them before we even start the meeting. Here's the best case scenario, right? A+, face-to-face briefing, face-to-face meeting, be able to read people's faces, be able to judge whether or not you're actually connecting with somebody, right? So A+ is a face-to-face. A B+ is a phone or an online briefing where you are interacting with them. And sometimes you can drive them, and we do it all the time, where we're pulling people in, drawing them in, and doing educational, instructional briefings, and that's great too. So that's a B+, and it's one below getting a face-to-face briefing. The next one, which is a C+, is a scheduled capabilities review. Just give them a dose of what you're doing, so doing a capabilities review. A C minus is an unscheduled capabilities review. So they don't actually give you the time. Say, oh, you can call me back on whatever, but I'm not going to commit to a time, right? And then finally, a D is a touchback in so many days, where you talk to them and they're not really interested. Oh, I'll touch back in a few, in 3 weeks, but tell them what the days are, okay? Because you can actually leverage that too. But this is our first touch. This is what we want from them. When I tell my team to go out after these people, this is what they're after. And we work hard to drive to a face-to-face briefing or a phone meeting. Those are the two things where we can start to really dialogue with people. Without that, we're going to be potentially just with like everybody else. Not even in the mix. On the outside looking in. That's where everybody is. That's where you are right now. That's where we are with our clients outside looking in. We want to start noodling our way in. So here's where we go. And this goes back to something that is one of the critical impacts in my life. There's very few things that I've read that have impacted me as strongly as this particular article. It came out in the Harvard Business Review in 2006, and I have that as part of the worksheet. So pull that out because I want to talk about these things. These are some of the lessons that we can learn because the question was, what are sales reps' biggest mistakes? So if you take a look at the sales reps' biggest mistakes, we can start to get an understanding not only of what not to do, but what really, really works. Make sense? Make sense, Jamie?
Absolutely.
So let's go through this. We've done this before, but this is one of my favorites. So the first one is that's the biggest is 26% that don't follow my company's buying process. Okay? And we're going to break these down, and it's fascinating how these break down. The next one is don't listen to my needs, which is 18%. The next one is don't follow up, which is 17%. So you can fill these out as you go around if you like. 12% are aggressive or pushy or disrespectful, so you got that one. They don't explain my solutions adequately. How about that? They make exaggerating or inaccurate claims. They don't understand my business. How about this? They act too familiar, acting like your friends already. Imagine that. They don't respect the competition, down at 2%. And take a look at the final 2% is other, such as charge high prices. Now, there's a lot of impact in that last one. There's a whole lot of impact, and we'll go through each one of these. So let's talk about these. I'm going to break these down into 3 different segments, and these work like this. These right here, where you don't follow up, you're pushy or aggressive or disrespectful or make exaggerated claims, this is just simply a bad rep. They're lazy, they're arrogant, and they're lying sons of guns. And they're selfish about just wanting to go get their own thing. Right? So 31% of those folks, and this probably maps out probably just right across society, right? Because we all know salespeople that we don't like, right? So we do know that. So this is a bad rep. So if you have somebody that you're getting these kind of complaints, you need to get them off your team because they're a bad rep. If you're that person, you need to change. You need more help I can give you. I can tell you that right now. So the next one, let's take a look at these. They don't follow my company's buying processes. They don't listen to my needs. They don't explain solutions adequately, or they don't understand my business. All right, is there another one there? Or don't respect the competition. All of these roll into some very interesting things. First, I got to ask you a question. How can you possibly explain your solutions adequately if you don't listen and you don't understand their needs? What we have here is a failure to communicate. 60% revolve primarily about listening and understanding. That's another habit. If you're into the 7 habits, seek first to understand, then to be understood, which is listening, understanding, connecting, and providing a key differentiator for you between you and your competition and why they should choose you instead of somebody else. So 60% are all in this bucket. Now let's talk about the last ones. Here we go. Other, such as charge high prices. Jamie, do people buy on price?
They have that as a consideration, but no, they don't buy specifically on price. They buy on value.
What kind of car do you drive?
I have a Ford truck.
I thought you had a Yugo. If you bought on price, you'd have a Yugo, wouldn't you?
No, I've got a F-350 actually. I got a big old honking truck.
Oh, a hoss of a truck. It's not just a truck. It's a 350 truck. Good grief. That's a beast.
Yeah.
Oh, man. There's all kind of implications. I'm not going there. But the value proposition for that truck does not have anything to do with price. Because a 350 that's a pricey piece. Right? But it's a great truck. You have it for a purpose, right?
It gets the job done every single time. Push, pull, haul, move, hook up, and tow. It does it all.
That's right. So the value proposition was not revolving around price. Same thing happens in the government. What? Everything's lowest price technically acceptable. No, it's not. No, it's not. In fact, you can help craft that if you help them with the scope of work and help them with the certifications that are required in order to fulfill that opportunity. Some things are commoditized. Some things are commoditized. That's true. You can give them a value beyond the commoditization. Did you know that? You absolutely can. You know the biggest difference between two commoditized products? You know what it is, Jamie?
Service.
Service, and that revolves around you or me. It's us. Harry Beckwith wrote a book called Selling the Invisible, and that's one of the key takeaways from that book. Right there is the biggest difference in a commoditized market is you or me. Give them a reason to buy from you. Just give them a reason. And they probably will. And you can't take 15%, but I bet you're worth 2, 3, 4% that you can garner. So 98% do not buy on price. Let's give them a reason not to buy on price. So let's look at this one. This is the one that impacted me the most, and is the foundation of so many pieces of what we implement here with ISI Federal. It is primary. This is a fantastic number because 97% by this say that they're okay with you acting too familiar if you can complete the rest of it. If you're not going to fall into the rest of the gaps of everything else, acting too familiar actually works in your benefit with 97% of the people. And it really is that number. That means 97 out of 100 people, if you act familiar with them, you can bypass their BS meter. This is an incredible concept that if you grasp it and you embrace it and utilize it, it is fantastic and can give you results that you can never possibly imagine unless you do it. So here it is. First, the next part is act as if. Act as if you already know them. Act as if you're friends already. Act as if you have something important for them, they just don't know it yet. Put yourself in a frame of mind that you're already doing business for a year together. How would you treat somebody that you're already doing business for a year together? What is the difference in your mindset when you take that approach? This is phenomenal if you can, one, get your head around it, and two, believe that it actually works. And with my clients, if there's anything, if they listen to what I say, let me see who's here. Because it's possible that I got somebody here I could call out right this minute. Hang on 1 sec. 1 second. 1 second. Oh, man. I think he's in San Diego. One of my clients is in San Diego. We booked some seriously high-level meetings, CFO, CIO, and Director of Contracting. Trifecta, by the way. You can't get any higher than that when you're doing CPA stuff and cybersecurity. Can't get any higher. So there you go. But anyhow, and that you do this all the time. These are the pieces. Act as if you know them already, that your friends already. You have something important for them that enables you guys to be connected on the same page. They just don't know it yet, and you do this all the time. We do it every day. And there's some key pieces in there that we'll go into in just a minute. So, in order to do this, if we're going to, we know what we want from them, and we're acting as if they like us and we like each other already, Now it comes to our expectations. Because if we don't expect a meeting, we're not going to get a meeting. If we don't ask for a meeting, we're definitely not going to get a meeting. You will not get what you don't ask for. And if you expect it, and you expect them to say yes, and you act as if you do this every day, well, by the way, you do this all the time. Do this all the time, right? Expect a meeting. You do this all the time, and when you're doing that, you want to close on the meeting. And there's a couple things that I'm going to make a point of. First is what I call safety in numbers. And this is what happened last week. We needed to schedule some meetings, those high-level meetings. Last week, these are CIO, CFO, and Director of Contracting. I met the Director of Contracting once when she was at a different agency. They're all in the same office, within 50 feet of each other, in the executive office. They're all SESs, for those of you who don't know what that is, Senior Executive Service, right? They're the ones that are underneath the political appointees and sometimes are influenced politically. So these are high-level people. I didn't know the CFO or the CIO, but I had somebody that was coming into town to meet with. And I said, "We're coming. Keith is coming in town. He's going to be meeting with some folks on the base. I want to make sure that I had a chance to be able to meet with you. He's going to be in the office. Is morning or afternoon better for you?" I said, "Well, we could probably do it in the afternoon." All right. Well, let me firm it up with the other person and figure out what the schedules coordinate, and we'll see what we can do. So I talked with the one, the CIO, talked to the other. I said, "Hey, we're getting together with the CIO. Wanted to check to see if you had a few minutes for a quick meet and greet, and that way you guys can meet together." So yeah, we'll meet together. So we'll do it at the same time. Great. So then I booked the meeting, and that meeting, I hadn't booked that one yet, called the Director of Contracting and said, "Hey, we're getting together with the CFO and the CIO. We want to get together with you while you're there. And what time's good for you?" And she said 2 o'clock, and I said, "Okay, 2 o'clock, fantastic. Let's book that." I called the other folks, and we're meeting with this person at 2 o'clock at the Director of Contracting, and so how about 2:30 or 3? 2:30, boom. 3 high-level meetings booked because I knew what I wanted from them. I acted as if, even in that, I was acting as if we were friends already. I expected the meeting. I closed on using a choice of 2, morning or afternoon. It was yesterday, morning or afternoon. So, and then they feel like they're in control on choosing the time, and they don't feel like you're trying to press them into anything. And we booked 3 high-level meetings. Normally, we're not operating in that space, by the way. I'll tell you that right now. Because normally, we don't need to be at that space. But this works all the way through the food chain. You can do this all the way through the food chain. Choices of 2. I got some other folks that are here. Let's talk about that choice of 2 real quick. Aisha, you there? You there? All right. I don't know. Can I hear you? You there?
Can you? Yes.
Good. Aisha's on my team. Give me some examples of good choices of 2.
So it's when we talk to people, what we do is that we give them options of going ahead and asking them whether they'd be available either in the morning or the afternoon for Wednesday or Thursday. And when we say that, what happens is that what I've experienced is that they generally go ahead and have, they just go ahead and choose.
They choose.
They just choose,
And well, one of the biggest reasons they do that is because it's not a yes or no answer. If you ask them, "Are you available on Wednesday?" that's a yes or no. If you ask them if we're getting, first of all, we're getting together. This is the safety in numbers, by the way, why you'll be there, why you will be there. If you say, "Hey, we're getting together with so-and-so at 2 o'clock, is before 2 or after, before that 1 or 3 better for you? Is 1 or 3 better for you?" And next thing you know, they go. Because you gave them safety in numbers and you gave them the choice of being in control. A lot of times first thing I ask is, are you even in the office next week? Are you even around? And if they say yes, if it's a no, if they're not in the office, there's nothing you can do about a face-to-face meeting. Then you can go to fall back onto a phone meeting. Well, he's getting together with so-and-so. Then what I'll do is, what's your next week look like? I'll make sure he catches up by phone and gives you an update about what happened in that meeting. Still safety in numbers. Somebody else already committed to being able to meet and wanting to meet with you. And if it's important for them to meet with you, hey, I can make time for you. Because the importance factors in the safety in numbers connects you to a successful meeting already. So very, very good, Ice. Now pay attention to the rest of my presentation. I knew I caught her off guard. Anyway, because she's already working on other stuff. All right, what this does is you also want to keep the ball in your court. This way you drive what's next. So if they say, well, I'll take your capability statement and I'll call you. Does that sound like an audition for Hollywood? Don't call us, we'll call you, right? No. No, you don't want to do that. You want to maintain the ball in your court. Tell you what, I'll shoot you over the capability statement and I'll follow up with you on, well, Monday I'm kind of tied up. Tuesday, I'll follow up with you Tuesday just to make sure that you got it and makes sense. Fair enough? Yes. Boom. You just closed on a follow-up, a warm follow-up call. Not the best. Not a face-to-face, not even a good call to be able to do the follow-ups. But it's a scheduled capabilities review, right? So you drive what comes next. You will make the next move, and then the biggest thing that you need to do with that is you need to live up to your word and keep your word and call them. Because if you do that, then you're starting to establish the pattern of trust that you do that. So here's the deal. When you're engaging your prospect, it doesn't matter what prospect you're engaging, somebody's going to be sold. This is a powerful thing, and some of you are going to hate me for this, but it's true. If we look at ourselves, somebody's going to be sold, and here's what it is. Either you're going to sell them that you're valuable enough to meet with them, or they're going to sell you that you're not important enough to meet with them. Those are the only two choices there really are. It's a brutal fact of life. And it's okay if they sell us that we're not important enough, as long as we realize that they did it. Because that can give you a chance to go back another time. Because another secret, and this isn't written, but you can write it down on your worksheet, is that people will remember an insignificant event for 21 days. They can tell you to go die under a bridge. And in 21 days, they're going to forget they told you that. Because that's an insignificant event to them. It's impactful for me because I remember that because that was 17 years ago. Never had and that was on the phone, by the way. 17 years ago. I remember it. But that person doesn't remember. I'm sure they told that many, many times. For them, that's an insignificant event. So I call them back. They didn't tell me to die under a bridge the next time. All right, so you control the outcomes. Again, A+, face-to-face briefing. B+, phone, online briefing. C+, scheduled capabilities review. C-, unscheduled capabilities review. That's when we won't commit to the follow-up. Right? That was a C- that you rolled that into. But that you'll touch back in so many days. Okay? So the goal here, again, is not selling anything except what you are closing on, which is the face-to-face briefing if you can get it. And I'll talk to people and say, hey, you want to grab coffee? Why? Why would I do that? Do friends generally get together in an office building and talk around a desk, Jamie?
No, they hang at the coffee tower, or they go out for a cup of coffee. It's common. Sure.
That's right.
It's a social thing.
That's right. So if you're acting like a friend, grabbing coffee, catching up, comparing notes,
Changes how they perceive you.
immediately.
Yes.
So that can help you drive those things. So do things that are outside the box. Take the professionalism. Professionalism is important. Looking the part, being the part. being confident in what you do, being professional at what you do. But the goal is relationship development, because when you get relationships, that's when you can get ahead of the RFP. So any questions out there? Let's see what we got, Jamie. We got anything that's happened? I got a couple on my side. What do you got?
I don't see anything. No, I don't have any questions sitting at the moment.
All right, who's out there? Anybody want to chime in on some success stories that you guys have had? I know we got Jatinder that's here. He could probably say a thing or two, but I'll let him raise his hand if he wants to, because he was in the last one. We just did something very similar to this the other day. Let's see. Anybody else? All right. Well, good. The one questions. Well, I have more than one question. I have a couple questions here. One is, how do you know who is buying something specific? In their world, it's construction services. How do you know that they're purchasing construction services? That's a great question. What we look at, number one, is we look at the competitors. We look at your competitors and say, who is it that's buying in that space? Construction services is a great one, because we have a client, we've had multiple clients that have been in the construction environment, right? You have construction management, then you have some of the construction services that are specialty components. The beautiful thing that happens with construction is there's a design phase that happens before it. So not only do we look at your competition, because that's what's actually happened, but we can actually look at your designers, engineers, surveyors, NEPA studies, finding out what's happening that would indicate that a construction service is going to happen. And I'm not sure exactly what construction service you do. I'm reading off of the paper. But if you have, depending on what you do, if you're here, you can raise your hand and you can tell me what you got. If you have construction services, we want to look at the competition, because that shows a pattern. But we also want to look at leading indicators, what we call feeders, that give us the ability to be able to say, okay, this is coming down the pipe. And the interesting thing is that if you know about something that's coming down the pipe, even if it's 2 years away, that's beautiful, because it gives you time to be able to communicate with the person that awarded that particular contract, responsible for the management of that particular contract, and guess what? They're probably going to be responsible for the construction services, and also then after a building is approved, right? If it goes through the commissioning process and they say, yes, you can inhabit this place, then you have things like furniture and networking, IT components, all of the things that go into the rest of that, landscaping services, all of those wrap around a linear type of a feeder. So that's a great way. It's a great question of how we figure out who that is, because we're not just after your competitors' contracts. We are first, because that's a great target list. But we want to go after the people that are responsible for the things that happen before that. And a lot of industries work that way. Not all, but a lot of industries do work that way. So that's a great question. So the next question is, will this be made available? Yes, we will make this presentation available. It will be, we'll post it to YouTube, number one. Number two is we'll send out a link with the PowerPoint presentation too. Fair enough? So there's that. Any other questions before we move on to the next thing?
I just had that same one. Will it be available later? So I'm good on my end.
Okay, cool. All right, very good. If you have any other questions, you can feel free to shout them out, and we'll definitely get to it. Ultimately, we're talking about relationship development, right? This is a classic funnel, right? You have your initial interaction and go down to the follow-up and emails, and you're doing all the grunt work, right? You're having your meetings, which create additional referrals, and then eventually you come to the opportunities, and that should say winnable opportunities, because we want to focus on winnable opportunities. Throwing stuff up against the wall. If you're a bid machine, that's great. That's not us. We're not a bid machine. That's not what we're after. We're after influencing this so that we can increase the opportunity level so that we are preferred, so that we can be in the shortlisted group of folks. We're preferred, right? So those opportunities turn into wins. And the way that happens is influencing the scope within the opportunities and within the process of procurement, because you can influence that as well. Because if you're a small business, you don't want it to go out for full and open competition. In fact, if you're a small business and you're a GSA schedule holder, did you know that how many does it take, Jamie? How many small businesses does it take to compete so that you can meet the FAR requirements if you're a GSA schedule holder?
Only 3?
3. 3. So would you prefer to be one of 50 or one of 3? How many people want to compete
Right.
against that?
Yeah, every time. Makes you want to 3.
So shortlisting should be part of your strategy. And the way that you get shortlisted is right here. You have your initial interaction, you follow up, you're faithful, you have the meetings, you get referrals, you work the system, you develop the relationships, and you start to influence the scope by being shortlisted. You have to be qualified, you have to have good past performance, but if you don't have good past performance, you can chip off at smaller stuff, grow your past performance, then turn into the machine, the federal contracting machine that you desire to be, and that will help enhance the value of your business. Fair enough? So, September's coming. We talked about it earlier. Next 30 days, this is what I would like to know, because we can help you with a lot of things. You need us to, boom, get you a GSA schedule. Find who's buying what you sell right now. If you don't know this, that's the one to check. Help me market to federal buyers. You can't market to federal buyers you don't know. The next one is get me meetings with key decision makers. You can't get to key decision makers if you don't know who they are and representing your company in Maryland, in D.C., and Virginia. That's where we are. That's what we do every single day. We handle the grunt work doing those. So let us know what you got, and we will reach out and make sure that we do this. This is the time. You're pressing the edge of the envelope right now for being able to get in front of key decision makers by this September. So we're also going to start framing your mindset to take you away from this September and make it so that you're paying attention to this September and next September. All right, a couple more seconds, and then I'll let this go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. And we will reach out to you and make sure we get those things for you. One of the ways that we can do this is finding those people that you need to know. And I really highly recommend, I'm not going to turn it into a full-blown sales pitch. You just need to go here and check out what you get and how it works, because it's a whole marketing strategy that we deliver that gives you prioritization and the who that matters most to you. And anything that you purchase, a lot of folks are getting some emails now. This is pretty cool. But anything you purchase is applied to the next level of what it is that you need. If you need help doing business development, we apply this purchase to it. If you need help in marketing to these people, we apply those things. We give you unmatched insight into how people are buying what they're selling. We looked at this earlier. Large agencies, smaller agencies, we're looking for the sweet spot of how things operate in your space. You can see some of the numbers here. 21 contracts. This is in 1 year, by the way. And this is what is this? This has to do with IT security, I think, because Don Wheatley. Anyway, so there you go, $4.5 million, 21 contracts. Those are the kind of people that we need to know. Those are the kind of people that you need to know and be beginning to do those. We do that with introductions, email campaigns, follow-ups, and especially online briefings. All that wrapped into the ability to be able to get this in front of the key decision makers. So to win federal contracts, here's the wrap-up. You need to be proactive. You can't sit back and wait. There's no magic bullet. Nobody's got a database. Nobody has access to the rest of whatever. I hear it all the time. And everybody wants the same thing. And if it was possible and everybody could get it, if it was fast, easy, and cheap, everybody be able to win in the federal government, and you just can't do it. You got to get out and be proactive. And here's what we can help you do. We can help you find the right people, we can help you develop that proactive plan, and we can do the grunt work to get them to like you. It's that simple. These are the three pieces that we can do. We can do it every day. We can help you do it. You can check us out at isifederal.com. The Market Essentials, in case you already think you have it. This is a quote from William Scotsman, #1 in their federal market, by the way. They dominated federal market, had 26% of the market share. They had $80 million in federal sales, and it changed the way that they looked at the marketplace. So with that, you can check out Market Essentials. Here's another raving example of that. $178 billion in the next 107 days. $678 billion in the next 478 days. How about we go out and get some of that for you? We'll be glad to help you do that. You can tune into ISI Federal on YouTube, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. And with that, we're going to let you go because the next one's July 12th at 11 Eastern Standard Time. Final push for getting spec'd in 2016. This is what will help you drive your sales in 2016 as well as 2017. Check out Revolution Payment Systems and Quick Fuse, QUIKFUSE. And with that, we will let you go. Any final parting comments from you, Jamie?
Guys, got to get going. We are running out of time, so let's take advantage and make this fiscal year a good one because we're running out of time, and let's make it work.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully it was beneficial to you. I love sharing some of these things because it really impacted my life, and hopefully it'll help you impact your sales. And if you need help, that's what we're here for. Reach out to us. There's my email address. There's Jamie's email address. We'll be glad to help you on all fronts of dealing with the federal business development. Have a fantastic rest of June and July 4th. So it'll be after July 4th when we see each other again. So great. So have an awesome time. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.